everybody. I'm Linda Bennett, your spiritual counselor and psychic host for Metaphysically Speaking. Today we're going to be working on Thanksgiving. Now, those of you who live across the pond or maybe over in Australia or up in Canada are going to say, what do we care about an American holiday? I will help you understand. So remember, this is a half-hour show we're doing now so that you get a little less time to have to be sitting in front of your TV or your iPad or whatever you watch the show on. And we're going to give you some really good information. And remember, at the end of our website, we have the recommended reading list and television shows. I love Sleepy Hollow. I don't know about anybody else, but I love that show. And of course, it's on Opposite Blacklist, and I love James Spader, but that has to be, on the rerun situation. So we have everything you need, and if you have any suggestions with fabulous books that you've read that deal with metaphysics or just being kind or making the world a better place or environmental issues, please send us an email and let us know. Also, if you have any questions that you'd like to see answered or any topics that you'd like to see covered here on the show, please email us. You don't have to give us your last name, but give us a last initial. There must be 5 billion Susans in this country, and I don't want it to be just from Susan. So Susan from Kansas City or Susan J from Kansas City, that would be great. Okay, tonight, Thanksgiving. It started out when the Pilgrims, who basically didn't volunteer to leave England, they were rounded up and told, okay, here are your choices. Prison, which wasn't a lovely resort like, certain people think prisons are. It was a dungeon. Or you get on that ship now and you never come back to this country. You don't even come back to Europe. You stay there, and whatever happens, your problem. So they chose to get on the boats. And now remember, there's no Queen Mary, and there's no QE2, and there's no Royal Caribbean. It was a rough ship, and it was a miserable, awful, horrible, I was going to say drive over. Swim over, basically, because you have to remember those ships were not that high, they were not that deep, they didn't take waves very well, and I read an account of someone who came over on a ship after the first ship, and they said we were wet most of the time, and it wasn't even raining. So what a rough trip for these people, and the reason they were thrown out of England is because they were considered religious extremists. So they landed, and from my point of view, had the Indians been smart, they'd have killed every one of them, burnt the ship, and pretended nobody arrived, and done that every time, and it might have discouraged them. Anyway, there were millions of people on this continent. Nobody discovered America. It was sitting here with millions of people, wildlife, lifestyles, doing just fine before all the Europeans arrived. Yes, we know that the Vikings were here first. Probably the Templars were here. The French were here. Canada had French-speaking communities already, so nobody really discovered anything. However, they were thrilled. This is Gracie. They were thrilled at being alive through the winter. Picture this, no real solid winter coats, no wellies, as you say in England, no rubber boots, no boots with fur lining, no good gloves, no warm woolen hats, god-awful, horrible, and I'm from New York and New England, winters, snows, ice, it rains ice. And if you want to feel like you've been shot, Gracie, now she wants to play. She sat here like a good girl the whole time before, now we're on the air, and she's being a pest. The weather conditions themselves. Plus, they brought over something that was a hidden nightmare for the Native Americans, and that is illnesses. Native Americans had no resistance to colds, pneumonia, flus, smallpox, measles, chicken pox, mumps, any of that. And millions of people in North America alone died of these diseases. So when they survived their first year, they decided to gather all of the resources together. The Indians very lovingly and graciously taught them to plant corn, taught them to plant wheat, taught them which nuts could be harvested, and they had a Thanksgiving dinner. I'm presuming the Indian tribes have been kicking each other ever since, except for the Seminoles. Will you stop it? Except for the Seminoles who are rolling in $1 billion on their gambling. And isn't that karma? Getting even with the white people who destroyed their way of life. Now they're stealing the white people's money. Very smart. Up in Connecticut, same thing, and that's the second state that I'm from. So when we talk about Thanksgiving, you say, well, Linda, what are you talking about? All right, knock it off. What do you, get up here. You want to be up here, then get up here and say hi to everybody. Say, hi, I'm Gracie. I'm being naughty. There is always something to, I'm grateful for this one. I swore I'd never get another kitty after I lost my Angel because she was so sweet. Wasn't she a little pussycat? So sweet, so gentle. By the way, if I call you a little pussycat or a little bunny, that's a great compliment. Compliment of affection. Because I'm a pussycat person, in case you can't tell. Why would she be wearing a pussycat shirt on Thanksgiving? You're blocking my view. Because I'm grateful for pussycats. And people who underestimate cats or think they're slinky and sneaky. Here is a, that's right, sit there and scratch. Here is an analogy that I like to make between cats and dogs. We all remember the great Fred Astaire movies. Wonderful, dancing across the screen with Ginger Rogers and Sid Charisse. Vera Ellen was another one that danced with him. And he was elegant, and he was graceful, and he was quiet, and he moved beautifully. And then we have, can anybody see me out there? Then we have Gene Kelly, who was also a wonderful dancer. But he was more canine-like, clumpy, and not very graceful. You know, when a dog's running towards you, they're running like this, and the ears are flopping and the tails are going. When a cat runs towards you, she just gracefully glides. So cats are like Fred Astaire, and dogs are like Gene Kelly. So they're not, oh, my executive producer, Shawnee here, now is trying to induce Gracie to come over to her, and I don't want her knocking off my crystal, and get her off the table here, which is fine. She can come back. She will. So cats are very elegant, very graceful, very soft moving. And remember, cats exist alone, basically, in the wild, unless they find a family of other cats that they can cohabit with. But dogs are pack animals. So they can be galumpy galoopies. They can just plop all over the place and jump and bark and all this other stuff. Where cats have to be quiet because that's their survival mechanism. So I'm grateful for Gracie. I'm grateful for the people I love. I'm grateful for my new videographer here tonight. I'm grateful for the wonderful opportunities that I have to be able to communicate with you. I'm grateful for the food that I have. How many of you say, thank you, God, for this food, even after ice cream, which of course is the best? I love the premium Publix brand. It's called, I shouldn't tell them what it's called because there won't be any when I go. Well, brownie moose tracks. And if you like mint, then the mint moose tracks is really good. Not the junky stuff, the stuff in the premium, the black. Fill up a bowl with that. I think you've died and gone to heaven. I say thank you, God, for this ice cream. If I'm killing myself outside in the yard, and this is a war wound from this last weekend, don't ever work without gloves and then just pull a branch down because it'll split your nail vertically like what happened here. And you think, why am I doing this? You can't stop yourself. Well, I was grateful when it stopped bleeding, I'll tell you that. Be grateful you have a yard to work in. That's my exercise. Is there any equipment in this house? Any exercise equipment? No, nor will there ever be. Not even a jump rope, because I'd probably kick her in the head as I was jumping rope. So yard work is my thing. And here's my deal. I once had one of those ski machines. I did 100 rotations, and I said, okay, now what do I do? What do I have? Nothing. Plant a bush. You got something. So if you have even a condo, you can have potted plants. If you have an apartment, you can have potted plants. You can have a plant in your kitchen. Just find out what the best plant is for the right location that you're putting something in. Be grateful for that. Especially remember to water it when it's appropriate. Be grateful for nice neighbors. I have some nice neighbors and some not so nice neighbors. Am I sitting there, oh, I don't have nice neighbors everywhere? No, what do I care? You know what? They mind their business. I mind mine. I smile and say hello, especially to the dog. Peaches is adorable next door, and the dog likes me. The husband doesn't. Okay, I've never done anything to him. Maybe he thinks I'm peculiar. Who knows? Who cares? But I am grateful for the neighbors across the street because they're really nice people. So be grateful for small things. Be grateful if you're outside and it's getting dark and the coyotes are coming out and you're walking back in your house. Be grateful that you're not stupid enough to think that there's only one coyote because there's only three. So the Puritans, who were very hard on themselves, very hard on each other, very hard on their community, were upset that it wasn't London. As much of as a pit London was, with no paved streets, horses, people throwing slops out the window, it was better than this. In their minds, frankly, I'll take the woods over old London. So they were also grateful for when the Indians came and made friends with them. But then the Indians began to say, they're multiplying. There's more of them now than there were when they arrived. Oh, what's that other ship doing? I think we're being invaded. And they began to get cranky, and rightly so. But if you can say, I'm going to take a pad and a pencil or a pen, and I'm going to write down 5 things at least that you're grateful for. And then 5 things that you're not grateful for. Look at the 5 things you are grateful for, and maybe you want to add to the list. Maybe you want to make it 10. Maybe you want to make it 15. Maybe you want to make it 20. Maybe you want to say, I avoided getting the flu last year. I'm very grateful for that. And I feel pretty healthy now. And then write down the things that you don't like. But say, always when you're starting a list, you should say, Heavenly Father, Divine Mother. And for those of you who are shocked at the idea that God is not an old guy in a robe with a staff on a cloud somewhere, trust me, that's not the case. And if you're an atheist, that's fine. When you cross over the last time, you'll be very surprised and very delighted because you'll meet all the people you knew in this lifetime and from other lifetimes who you've loved and who've loved you. And you'll feel the angels, you'll hear them sing, and you'll say, oh, I confused religion with spirituality. Ooh, I'm going to have to come back in another lifetime, and I'm going to have to fix that. So if you're aware of that already, put that down on the list of things you're grateful for, because you already know that this isn't it. It makes me sad to hear scientists say, well, there's no proof. Yes, there is. For thousands of years, India has been keeping track. Even China keeps track of children who come and talk about living over here and living there over there and doing this and knowing these people. They make a few phone calls and they find out, yes, that's the case. Or yes, there was a village there, but it got wiped out 5 years ago in a flood. So if you have that understanding that you're part of a great element of energy, you can call it God, you can call it the light, you can call it the force, I don't care. But remember, what I always say to you, male energy of God, female energy of God, one God. Male, female, one God. The duality of energy. And be thankful that you have that understanding because it makes everything so much easier. We're going to be doing a show in the future on survivor's guilt. And boy, I cannot tell you how many times I spoke to veterans who had come back from the war and they were overwhelmed with grief because they were the only survivor. So we will be talking about that. And you can be grateful for whatever health you have. Now, I'm not a Pollyanna. I would not make a good wheelchair person. I'm very active. I have terrible back and neck problems, but I'm still very active because that's who I am. I'm a Gemini sun sign, and we're boom, 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 get this done, take care of that, move, 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 get this, take, boom, boom. We want everything taken care of at the same day. That costs you. So, but I'm grateful I get it done. I'm grateful I still have the health that I can get that taken care of. So put down that you're grateful for your general health. If you're in a wheelchair, say that you're grateful for the wheelchair transporting you around because before wheelchairs, there was no way you could get around unless you crawled, unless you had somebody who would come and help you, put you on a chair and haul the chair around for you. So Be grateful for whatever little blessings you have. If you have squirrels outside, get some seeds for the squirrels, especially over the winter, because it's very hard for them to find all the acorns they planted because you plucked them out because they were turning into a forest. So the black sunflower seeds are great for squirrels, for bunnies, for birds. The oil in them gives them extra energy and extra nourishment. I have rabbits. And you know what I discovered? The beautiful portulacas. I had light pink, I had fuchsia, I had purple. I looked at them one day and they were just lovely. I came out the following day, there wasn't one left. Neatly sheared right off the top, all the bunnies. Feasting. A wonderful salad. But I'm grateful for the bunnies anyway. They provide us with some humor. Be grateful for the fact that maybe you live in America or Canada or Australia, England. Parts of France are very lovely, I understand. Be grateful you may live in a province in whatever country you're in, that you're receiving this show, that maybe you're getting some metaphysical information that you hadn't thought of. So I want everybody in the world to create either their own private Thanksgiving Day or propose to their community that they create a Thanksgiving Day, and it has nothing to do with turkey or tofurkey. We're vegetarians. And oh, that's right. We now go to a restaurant where they have a special diet for us. And for Christmas Eve, pizza, salad, my baked rigatoni. We're done. Oh, and of course, pastry. Tofurkey, in my opinion, is really frighteningly awful. We all got sick one night. It was beautifully prepared by my executive producer. It looked amazing, and we had wonderful stuffing and string beans. It was wonderful, except everybody got sick that night from the tofurkey. So that was the end of the tofurkey. Tofurkey people, sorry, that was our personal experience. You can be grateful for the fact that you still have water to drink. Water is almost gone on this planet. We're surrounded by ocean, but we need fresh water. And with climate change, it's not snowing. President Obama this summer stood up in Denali National Park in Alaska, which he would be normally hip deep in snow, and flowers were blooming. That is terrible. And with fracking, they're poisoning the water underneath the groundwater, the underground giant miles and miles and miles of reservoir. And once water is poisoned, you can't redeem it. And you say, well, Israel has desalination plants, and so does California in certain places. You can't keep sucking the life force out of the oceans because it needs its salinity. Already there's too much salt in certain parts of the oceans, which means wildlife can't live there. Coral reefs can't live there. The undersea vegetation can't live there. And that is all important for the carbon dioxide oxygen exchange, just like trees. So if you are still having fresh water and you are in a country, say Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, those countries are making sure that you have water, and they also have the glaciers to call upon and purification plants. America, because of the politics of this country, has been very careless about providing safe drinking water. So if you have water, be very thankful. If you have enough food to keep you going, be very thankful. If you have weather that's tolerable and is proper balance of sunshine and rain, be very grateful. If you have a pussycat or a puppy dog, mine's down here. Oh, what a good girl. That you love, or a little bird, or a hamster, or a guinea pig, make sure you have a great vet. Animal and Bird Medical Center of Palm Harbor is a fabulous medical center. Fabulous vets. In and up on the latest technology. You can't go to a vet that just does spay and neuter because they really barely got out of medical school and have forgotten most of what they learned. You need to go to a place where they perform surgery. And believe it or not, in our vet clinic, you can observe the surgery. I'm grateful for this article that just popped up. Did you see this in Time Magazine about breathing? I will hold this here so you can see it. And they're talking about the kind of yoga breaths. I didn't call them yoga breaths, God forbid, where you cover the nostril and you breathe out of the other nostril, then you cover the other nostril and breathe out of that one. Most people alternate breathing in their nostrils. I particularly breathe out of both nostrils most of the time. If you're going to start this breath, and you don't have to sit in the lotus posture, you can sit in a chair. Most people can't do the lotus posture unless you're practiced at it. Take a yoga class if you can. It doesn't mean you're not Catholic anymore. It means, by the way, Catholic priests and nuns do meditation. It means that you're preserving your body by exercising it appropriately and sending energy to the different glands and organs in your body that need that to keep you going. So if, for instance, you realize that your left nostril is stuffed, press that one first. What's the point in trying to breathe out of a nostril and choking yourself? Press that nostril first. Take several breaths, slowly in, slowly out, then alternate, slowly in, slowly. You may discover that that nostril opens up. And then the other side opens up and you're breathing normally through both nostrils. I never thought in Time Magazine there'd be a whole article on yoga breath. I'm grateful for that. I am grateful for Jimmy Carter, who was never my favorite president. And he wrote an article published July 15th, 2009, but was just recently made available to everybody, I guess, on the internet. And the title is Women and Girls Have Been Discriminated Against for Too Long in a Twisted Interpretation of the Word of God. And remember, Jimmy Carter, it says here, I've been a practicing Christian all my life and a deacon and a Bible teacher for many years. My faith is a source of strength and comfort to me, as religious beliefs are to hundreds of millions of people around the world. So my decision to sever my ties with the Southern Baptist Convention after 6 decades, 60 years, was painful and difficult. It was, however, an unavoidable decision when the convention's leaders, quoting a few carefully selected Bible verses and claiming Eve was created second to Adam and was responsible for original sin, ordained that women must be subservient to their husbands and prohibited from serving as deacons, pastors, chaplains, or chaplains in the military service. This view that women are somehow inferior to men is not restricted to one's religion or belief. Women are prevented from playing full and equal roles in many faiths in many countries. I can't read the whole article here. I'm grateful that a man who is so well respected in his religion and throughout the South mostly, and respected as a religious person, because the South loves nothing better than a good Bible verse. And a man so well respected for his dignity. Don't forget he goes to different countries and observes the elections. He's well respected, well liked. He's still married to the same woman after over 50 years. I was sad for him having to give up something that was comfortable for him, but I was grateful and thankful that he had the personal dignity to do so. If on this Thanksgiving you're not grateful for anything else, be grateful for Jimmy Carter coming out and stating that women are equal to men and should not be restricted in any way, whether it's through religion or custom or politics, and that women need to stand up for themselves and declare so. That, to me, was a blessing from the heavens. When a man of importance, or even your next door neighbor, says, we have to knock off this nonsense with women not being equal, you should be grateful. And maybe in your community, you can start an equality club where men and women help each other out, and you can talk about your marriages and your relationships and how you help each other. There's nothing better than a man vacuuming while the wife is doing something else. If you both live in the same house, you'll both take care of it. There's no woman's job and man's job. You do what you can physically do. If a woman is a better cook, she can cook. If a man's a better cook, he should cook. But the hard things, the things that require a little extra strength, even though I actually have muscles because I do so much yard work, we are limited. We have more fat on our bodies because we're supposed to be pregnant, and that supplements the fetus. Men have more muscle because they're supposed to be doing the heavier things. I don't make the news, I just report it. It's the way we're constructed. So I was very grateful for Jimmy Carter. I'm also grateful for the Dalai Lama because he's still a voice of equality. He's still a voice for compassion. So on this Thanksgiving, ask God and the angels to preserve the Dalai Lama for as long as possible because he's a voice of respect and reason. Am I running out of time? Be thankful for the blessings that you have, whether it's ice cream, pussycats, good friends, good family, good spouses, good children, great neighbors. You live in a pretty area. And if you remember just to open up your hearts and minds to God's universal truth, you're going to know that God and the angels are always with you. Thank you. Stay with us for more Metaphysically Speaking.